So I recently had somebody ask me, there's a lot of flies out here. So I recently had somebody ask me, how do they deal with the suffering of others? This person said they're fine with their own suffering, they're fine with their own tragedies that are happening in their life and the feelings that are invoked, but how do they deal with the suffering of others as far as it just causes them too much? They start to suffer and they start to feel badly for other people, and then, it causes this entire sort of suffering game all over again inside them. And what I'm going to say is that the reason why the suffering of others bothers you, it's because you are also still suffering. And you're looking at that experience that person's having, or that tragedy or that event, and then it's invoking a feeling inside you all over again. But you're actually blaming it on the other person or the other situation. You're not actually taking accountability for the experience that's happening inside you. Now, this spiritual enlightenment thing and the happiness thing is about understanding what is you and what is just an experience. Okay? Who you are is not these experiences. These experiences will come and go. One day it's happy experiences, one day it's horrible experiences, and we know that life has its ups and downs, right? But I guarantee you one thing is that if you're happier, you will be able to deal with these tragic events and deal with these tragedies that are happening around you in a much better, more sober fashion. You're not going to be sitting there just feeling sorry for everyone, feeling sorry for yourself, and shed tears for the world. You'll become very practical in that moment. Kind of like a mother just rubs, the child's face and just cleans it off. And it's very matter of fact. There's not this emotional attachment. So what a lot of people think love and compassion is, they think it's this emotional attachment to things being a certain way, and it's the lowest vibration of love they believe is the highest love. They believe that love is this emotional attachment to everybody being comfortable and everything being a certain way. But they don't understand that they can evolve this love to a much more unconditional state, to a place where you see love in tragedy or in peace and happiness. You start to see in a much bigger picture. You start to see things in a much bigger picture. And there are saints and sages that have gotten to a place where they see much farther beyond life and death. They won't be so worried about if somebody loses the body and then they incarnate in another way, or they reincarnate. They're not worried about the life and death of things, because they understand that is part of the logic of the universe. That is part of the way things are. But a lot of people in North America or all over the world, human beings were really born with this attachment to life. We say life should always be life. We should always be young. We have this fear of getting old, and we have this attachment to things being comfortable because we have an idea of what things should be instead of the way things are. So the first step in becoming happier is understanding that happiness has nothing to do with the outside. It has nothing to do with what's happening over there, nothing to do with what's happening even in your own experiences. Now, I'm talking about a very powerful place here. I'm talking about a place that exists, but very few people touch. Okay? There's a space inside you that is allowed to exist and will still exist even when tragedy is happening and even when good things are happening. It's so unconditional that it's there, and it carries a blissful, spacious experience with it. And it also carries something that's very important, which is wisdom and the movement of your soul and your God self, your divine self. Okay? And this will have much more capacity to deal with the tragedies and the problems of the world than just the ego that wants to just find an excuse constantly to suffer, or find an excuse to dwell on something it doesn't like. So when you see somebody and you see them suffering, you do what you can to help, of course. But if you've done all you can, there's no point in you sitting there and just dwelling on what you can't do for the rest of your life. If you feel suffering, if you feel sad, you feel grief, you feel horror, whatever it is, you allow that experience to be there. and you just watch it and accept it. Just allow it to be there, but don't put any meaning on it. Don't put, oh, this is caused by this reason or that reason. Just allow it to flow through you, and that will have a higher healing capacity for that person than you sitting there and just feeling sorry for them. There will be an overall feeling. There'll be an entrance of the divine. There will be more wisdom that is actually entered into that moment. You see? Because you're actually recycling the energy of the tragedy itself. So you're actually a human recycling station for spiritual energy. Okay, so when illusion flows through you, such as suffering and pain and things, it just becomes filled with the divine and starts to have a different vibration. And that is actually what every human being is looking for, that vibration. It's just that we go on a long journey with lots of little twists and turns in order to get to it. So I hope that helps. Take care for now.